Deleted session, August 22, 1977. Now, good evening. This should be an illuminating session. I certainly hope that later you agree. Let us examine your joint and individual's feelings about the need for solitude in which to walk, and your disinclination to hurt people's feelings when they intrude. It is difficult to know where to begin, but we will start with your joint beliefs. A. That you need solitude a good deal of the day in which to walk. B. Your definite belief jointly that this solitude is almost impossible to achieve. Those two beliefs are very important and put you in a quandary. You never seem jointly to satisfy yourselves with any method or program or routine that works. In other words, that gives you peace of mind. Why is it that you are so afraid of hurting people's feelings in that regard? There is another belief here, then. You both believe A. That people will not understand, and B. That they will feel rejected, and C. That they will reject you, and you will be left quite alone in the solitude you thought you wanted. When you were a boy and went off by yourself to draw, your mother often acted rejected. She was pleased with your talent per se, but she was jealous of you. At times, you felt as a child that painting, or rather drawing, hurt her, and that also she might retaliate by withholding her support in other areas. You also used the drawing and your talent to some degree as a method of exerting your own independence from her oftentimes smothering love. You were told in so many words that it was selfish of you to spend so much time by yourself, for often even when you were with Doran. Rob noted, my younger brother. They said, for example, you carried a circle of your own intent about you. You had conflicting feelings then. There is still some emotional charge. People, however, will accept whatever actions you consider nature and equitable. They will accept your reasons, which can be stated clearly so that they do not feel personally rejected. Now, Ruber used his poetry also to exert independence from his mother, which implied, he thought, a certain kind of rejection of Mary. These attitudes cause you to try to maintain some solitude while believing it is almost impossible to achieve. And so this, of course, is your experience. You feel that you needed solitude implies a rejection of the world. When one person comes to the door, personal acquaintance or stranger, it is the world knocking. You fear that that person will feel the same rejection that it seems to you your mother's felt. There is more here. Give us a moment. I am now not speaking simply of personal events from your childhood, or saying that you are mechanically operating now in certain fashions because of them. I am saying that your experience led you to certain sets of beliefs. In school, ordinary society in adulthood, these were all scheduled toward outward activity. You have gone your own ways, but in some cases, you are still hampered by old beliefs. People will not be personally hurt if you honestly state your position. In fact, your ambiguity puts them in an odd position, for you say one thing and mean another. They can feel the difference. When Frank asks Ruber frankly, if you will excuse the pun, are you walking? Am I bothering you? And Rupert smiles sweetly and says no, that is fine. Then Frank is faced with Rupert's smiling countenance, while his intuitions tell him something else entirely. He thinks, I must be wrong. If Jane didn't want to talk, she would have said so. For Frank is not used to trusting his own intuitions. People are not that easily hurt by honesty. Your beliefs make it very difficult for you to achieve your solitude, while you desire it and feel it necessary. You also to some extent are afraid of it, lest it cut you off too much from your fellows. So while you complain and resent intrusion, some part of each of you is reassured. Your fellows do after all seek you out, even if the time is wrong. On the other hand, to some extent, you squander the free time you have. For example, squandering your Friday evenings often, but not always. You should have a clear picture, taking some definite time out for friends, and it should be clearly understood that in your working hours you expect to be alone. In your position, then, Friday night could be a time when your friends know you are available, free, and looking forward to sociability. You would be if the rest of the week were cleared, and it would be cleared if you realized that what was involved was simply a matter of your own quite natural working habits and convenience, and made it clear that people were welcome at another time. It does not matter that Friday night in particular is the time, or that 1 or 2 nights or 4 nights in a month are given to social behavior, but that you clearly differentiate and make that clear. There may be times in working hours when someone comes and you do feel like seeing them. That is all right. Most of the time, however, you are not honest. You say yes when you mean no. This only serves to reinforce your beliefs that it is impossible to maintain your privacy. And you feel then less in control of your own time. Take your break, and we will continue. Your working man will be gone. Rupert has gone to extraordinary distance to cut out distractions, among other things, until he realized that he went too far. Your time will now shortly be your own. You must manage it with conscious decisions, even if you go on trial basis with different methods, working toward what suits you best. It is not the method that you lodge upon that is important, but that you insist upon making conscious decisions and taking conscious control of your time. In the past, you felt and believed that this was not possible, and so your attempts failed, largely because you were afraid, overly afraid, of hurting other people's feelings, and somewhat afraid that your desire for solitude would cut you off too much from others. If you arrange for your own work times, and those times are adequate, you will have peace of mind. Then your natural desire also to see other people will propel you again quite naturally to make suitable arrangements that will then be most fruitful. My suggestions in that area, as per Fridays, were simply meant as an example. I was not suggesting each Friday, but some time set aside from sociability, not simply with the gardeners. You will not hurt their feelings either. See them twice a month. It does not matter whether you work all night or so many hours a day, as long as you are satisfied. In previous periods of improvement, Rupert often worked nights, because he then avoided the issue, or rather took care of it in another manner. This time, he is improving in spite of the working man. For example, in the past several days, his body has responded remarkably well, with vitally important loosening taking place. Those improvements are better than even I would have expected, even though the overall locomotion is very uneven. That is why I want that other issue, so important to both of you, jointly and consciously tackled. If you are so afraid of hurting people's feelings face to face, then lock your doors and put a people walking, come back later sign outside. At least you would feel that you were in control of your time, for you are. Your feelings and beliefs that you will not have caused difficulties, and of course your experience. On non-reality, volume 2 and the psyche will come out fairly close together. Practice will follow any policy there that you want, and indeed will welcome your own ideas, for without them they are not certain of your intent. They will almost always follow firm statements by either of you, and they look for your direction. Are you tired? Ralph said, I am okay. Seth said, you live through desire, and behind all desire there is love. Love of being what you are, and love of being part of the fabric of existence that you know. No one can assess the quality of a life. The body in some respects has its own innocent life, a part of yours, but apart from it in certain respects. It will seed the earth, and so it knows its death is not death. The body changes constantly, and there are rhythms of the soul, so that some people die young. Their desire is no longer with the earth. Others live to an old age. Now your desire has ebbed and flowed through psychic death and birth. You have changed individually and jointly far more than you realize. Rupert's body is becoming more alive. You have been, in some respects, psychically as tired as he was physically. As things now stand, his body is spasmodically jointing itself into new life and responsiveness. As it does, you will psychically follow suit. Your love for each other is coming to new fruition, and that sent by each of you will give you an even greater impetus for Rupert creatively and physically, and for you this will bring about real breakthroughs in your painting and in your writing. I am not speaking idly, or speaking to place suggestions in your mind. Your accomplishments, despite all of the hassles, have accelerated to a point of new creativity. I suggest only that you work from 9:30 to 12:30, from 2 o'clock until 4:30, and an hour or so, as is your habit, in the evening, and that those hours be maintained. I suggest that you make more of an effort to plan your Friday evenings, so that they are not evenings by default. Rupert's room is highly important for many reasons in your home, and he is moving about more naturally. Now I could go on for some time. Ralph said, go ahead. Seth said, people are reborn in themselves time and time again. There is more than one adulthood in one life. You are, all in all, using your earthly time well, shoving into it birth after birth. There are accelerations that occur, or that do not occur, by which people renew themselves. They shed old bodies as snakes shed skins, and they literally begin new existences. You are doing this. Take your break. Now, further illumination. When Ruber asks you if you are tired 5 times in an hour, he means, I love you. I am sorry that you must go to such extra work during the day on my behalf. I hope that it does not tire you out. I cannot express my sorrow that I put you to so many chores that I should be able to help you with. But he does not express his love on such occasions, only his concern. That should sound familiar. You each saw a program about animal motion. The action of the eyes is intimately connected with the speed and the mobility of the body, intimately connected, for that matter, with all organs. Naturally, then, Ruber's eyes are changing. A rather usual error would be to treat the eyes through different glasses, thereby locking them into a transitory phase. You should have received enough evidence, and fine evidence thus far, to show you that there is nothing intrinsically wrong with Ruber's eyes per se. As he changes his motions, they will acclimate. The unevenness of vision is the result of the entire body changes, shiftings of jaw pressure, release of ligaments, and an entire body reorientation. This phase will not last forever. Actually, the ligaments jerk as they attempt new motions. Your creator has good taste. The ligaments do their utmost, releasing spasmodically to the utmost at times in an exercising capacity, then go back to a position that is operationally practical, while representing an improvement over an earlier position. Therefore, you have a period of instability. Ruber explained that with the sudden fast arm motion, but his eyes were not used to moving that fast. Now riding is beneficial, for it artificially allows the eyes horizons of distance and large areas of focus. He is not moving that fast badly, but his eyes are newly accustomed to faster motion. Earlier, the eye's motion fit the bodily stance. He only looked downward when he walked. When he thought, he moved his entire head. The eyes, therefore, have become unsynchronized in that regard, and are learning more natural motion. He was not aware of the difference before. The changing jaw pressures, the releasing of tension there, altered the sinuses and the ears. Those passages had become tight. He was used to that. All of this now is changing to a healthful condition. This is difficult to explain. Before, there was a sinus drainage back up or built up, caused by tension. I will put this as simply as possible. That built up, caused by tension, caused crystallizations or deposits that toughened the tissues. This was more or less equally deposited in the head area and the tissues of the face. The equalized pressure meant that he could see, hear, and smell, though in a restricted fashion. Those deposits are disappearing. The eye puffiness is a transitory stage. The eye's watering is a way of ridding the body of those old deposits. The ear area clears, as he knows. I do not want to overemphasize such processes of the past, however, but only what is being done now as the healing processes continue. As things stand, I believe he is headed for some vital periods of relaxation. He should be able to copy an hour or so a day, but do not put that issue. It will follow naturally. The eyes are in any case improving as the head clears, and in this period Your solitude is important. The eyes will become synchronized as the two sides of the body become so. Great inner changes have happened there since our last session. Give us a moment. Past and future exist at once. Yet in your turns of time, you are often in periods where you appear more influenced by the past. You are moving into a period where you are becoming more influenced by the future. In those turns, drawn by an impetus you feel but cannot consciously elucidate as yet. You cannot separate achievements from personality. Being is not that specific. You can say, why did my artistic talents not mature when I was young? Yet the dimensions of personality are such that basically the question is shallow. You could have been in those terms a successful, well-known artist. The dimensions of your being, however, demanded that you seek out questions beyond those of any known perspective. And to be the kind of artist you really wanted to be lifted you into a realm beyond the usual known. You could not settle for less. The same applies to Robert and his writing, and those are the challenges you have undertaken. By their nature, they do not give you niches in which you can rest. You are creating an art that exists now, though you cannot see it, but only sense it at times. And now I bid you a fond good evening. Rob said, thank you, Seth. Good night. They said a point. Robert's condition involves a complete reorientation. The working men were a shock treatment of a kind. People often fast because it shocks the system, sometimes beneficially. No more orientation is disrupted. Such shock treatments often join your belief systems. That is why they are sometimes effective. Retreats do the same thing. Often when you work, they give you a perspective. In that light, I have a suggestion only, even considering it will be beneficial, whether or not you follow it. The suggestion is that you work 3 nights, and that you do this at least 3 nights each month. End of session. You will be surprised at the results, but at least give the matter consideration, for that alone will help. Such a ritual would add considerable refreshment to your spirits and creativity, and also throw light upon your daily behavior.